I mean, if you can't laugh at yourself, then life's going to stink a little bit, right?
No doubt.
So I have no problem laughing at myself on this one. I mean,
would you mind if I laughed along with you?
Yeah, laugh at me. Go ahead.
I'll wait for it.
This is a beautiful thing about getting into your 40s. I don't give a rip.
Your 40s. That's so cute.
Man, thank you. It doesn't matter, right? I mean, I'm walking through the streets taking selfie videos all ticked off at the Giants because
funny.
right? Like I'm walking my dog, taking a selfie video, expressing anger because the Giants just let Carlos Correa walk out the door. 4 months later, I'm sitting here going, whoo, dodge a bullet there. Thank goodness Carlos Correa is not here because Casey Schmidt, because J.D. Davis. It's Willard and Dibs, and Javy Lopez now joins us live. Am I right, Javy? Like, thank goodness it fell through.
I think that's the reaction I'm getting from a lot of Giants fans. And, to be honest, when you're looking down, 13 years or whatever it was going to be, I mean, the hot take is exactly right. Casey Schmidt wouldn't be here. J.D. Davis, who knows what kind of year he would have been having. But, the young guys have been able to come up and do some things that you were hoping they were going to be able to do and contribute. And Carlos Correa, I would have loved to have seen him in a Giants uniform, but as of right now, I think I'll save the $300 million and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, especially knowing that Casey Schmidt is probably pre-ARB 4 and J.D. Davis is 6 years away from his ARB eligibility and the rest of it. But what about the longevity of these guys, especially Casey Schmidt? Are you seeing what you need to see in terms of this guy being a legitimate major league, not only a prospect, but a mainstay for years to come?
I'd like to say so. Again, you don't want to put too much pressure on these guys coming up, but you see it across the league. These young guys that get the opportunity, you want to see them take advantage. And for me in particular, living out here in Atlanta, you see a lot of these young guys coming up, getting those big deals, signing them, and getting those opportunities. And that's exactly what you want to see in San Francisco is have these guys come up, have success, and go ahead and invest in them early. And ultimately, it's going to be, you'd like to say it's going to be a bargain. I mean, again, these contracts are over the top big, and congratulations if they can get them. But you want to see these guys perform, and Casey Schmidt's come up, and, that's pretty much as good a start as you're going to get out of anybody when they first get a chance to come up into the big leagues. And, he's taken full advantage of it. And not only, you always knew he had the defense, but the offense has just been great to start his young career.
Javy Lopez with us on Willard and Dibs. Javy, this has come up in conversation more than once in just the last handful of days. Gabe Kapler pulls someone out where they're like maybe an out shy of being able to qualify for a win. And I'm sitting here going, gosh, the win stat maybe just doesn't matter the same way anymore. And there's no financial tie to it anymore. So I feel like players don't care, but maybe I'm wrong. Like, would you still get mad in that situation? I know you were a reliever, but do you think guys are ticked off if they get pulled right before they're able to qualify for a win?
I'm putting my old school hat on here, and I'm trying to learn that new school, and I'm doing the best I can with this. But me personally, yes, because ultimately in a box score, there is a winner and there is a loser. And you want more W's next to your name than you want the L's. And at the end of your career, whenever that might be, that is a stat that's going to jump off the page. And it's going to be wins and losses. Were you a guy that was able to be out there when your team needed you? Were you a guy that's able to get your team over the hump? And again, it's not the weighted wins and losses isn't what it used to be. There's going to be guys in the Hall of Fame soon that are going to have, maybe 200 career wins total. You never know. I mean, it used to be 300 was that magic number. But I think at the end of the day, when you're sitting there and you're looking, you want that W. You're working your tail off to try to get through that game. And when you get yanked a tick too early, it is going to bother you. And some guys might get ticked off by it. And that's a good thing. You want that. You want guys that are going to be upset because that means that they want it and they want to be out there in those big spots.
You mentioned 300 wins. I don't think we'll ever see another 300 winner. Justin Verlander's got 246, the leader among active pitchers. I don't know if he has another 54 in him. And this topic came out because I was mentioning to Mark about Sean Manaea yesterday getting the maybe earlier hook than he wanted or I wanted. But what do you make of the way Sean has started to pitch, presumably or most appropriately yesterday?
Yeah, the 3 2/3 he threw yesterday, and I think he got 8 punch outs and threw the ball a lot better. And he's a veteran. He's been around, and he knows what he can do, and he knows what he's been capable in this league. And he's not pitching to that yet. And I think that's been a source of frustration for him. And I'd like to think that yesterday was an encouraging sign for him. He threw an awful lot of pitches on the downside of that. In those 3 2/3, I think he threw 86 pitches or so. So you'd like to see just the efficiency get a little bit better for him. But again, it's a positive step forward. The velocity isn't an issue, so the arm isn't the problem at all. I mean, he was throwing 95, 96, no problem yesterday. So I think it's just having that confidence. And for him and in the off-speed stuff, he's dealing with a lot more velocity than he's used to. So maybe that takes away a little bit of the movement that he was kind of real good at earlier in his career. But, I mentioned this before. I feel like to really unlock some of what he can do, it's just pitching glove side or inside to right-handed hitters. If he could do that, that's just going to open up the outside. You can make more mistakes middle away and get away with them. And with that velocity, it's always going to play. So it's just how you can set that up. But I'd like to just hope that he can pull off of that, build off of that momentum from yesterday's outing. I mean, you faced the first place club, and you were able to hold them down. That's big.
Javi, as far as a young core is concerned, Huey Lewis, if this is it, please let me know. Here's the question, okay? Because there's Logan Webb, there's Doval, now there's Casey Schmidt, there's Tyro Estrada. I know not homegrown, but you're starting to see, now look at catcher, maybe Bailey gets in there. Correa was probably a year before the Giants really wanted to spend big anyway, because they've always wanted that homegrown core first. Is this it?
Please let me know, Javi.
Please let me know.
I'd like to say it is. I'm with you on exactly what you're talking about. I think when you look across the landscape of baseball, you can look at across the landscape of any of these sports. You need to sprinkle in some free agent talent to kind of lock it all in, but you do need a strong base and a strong core to pull from your own league to set it all up, or else you're spending money like the Mets. You're spending, $500 million to be under 500. Like, those are the things you got to want to stay away from. And I think organizations have tried to really pour into the minor leagues. And the Giants had a little bit of a hiccup last year and a half, of their prospects not coming up quite as quickly as they wanted to. But yeah, you like to see what's coming up right now. You got Bailey, who's winning minor league Gold Glove awards, and you've seen it defensively so far. It's been early, of course, but he's able to kind of work with a good pitching staff. He's stolen, I think, maybe 13 balls that turned him into strikes, the way he's able to pitch frame. Those are little things that you love to see from those guys. But what jumps off the map for me with these guys is the energy level that they're bringing. They're ready to go. They're pumped up. They're excited. Estrado's got some young running mates now in the infield that could hopefully be around for a while. And I think on the pitching side, you're seeing some good young arms, especially down in the minor leagues. I mean, you can never project too well, but you got a lot of guys in Double-A that are throwing the ball well. And those are some of the pieces that you want to see coming. You got to figure at some point Kyle Harrison is going to get an opportunity, the top prospect for them, the left-handed pitcher. So you gotta look at this and be excited about what you're seeing, but you are eventually going to need to land a free agent big fish that's going to want to be in San Francisco to kind of round out this whole deal.
And that would, I think, help keep the Jackals away. And by the Jackals, I kind of mean the fan base, because the fans have been clamoring for Farhan to do something. And does the fact that the farm is starting to really bear fruit, does that help to keep some of the criticism away from Farhan Zaidi for another year?
Well, I think you have to look at it like that. The minor league system hasn't developed the way I think he envisioned initially when it got going. But ultimately, you got to just keep grinding and keep trying to produce these guys and pour into them even more. And more than anything, keep them healthy. And I think Pete Patil is going to get in there. And he came in already, the GM, and he said, like, these guys got to get bigger, stronger, faster in the minor leagues. And I think they've kind of gone into that process early. I mean, it's his first year, so you got to give him some time. But he's a player development guy, and that's his background. That's what he did with the Astros. And you look at what the Astros were able to do. you like to think that if you're coming from that, you have an idea of how to win and what it takes to get to that level, and you got to give these guys some opportunity. And I know with Farhan to finally get some of his draft picks up here and perform when they do get up here, it's probably reassuring for him when you have the opportunity that these guys are stepping up and doing it.
Javy Lopez with us. Javy, I left out the number one reason why it's good that Carlos Correa and his deal ended up falling through. I was just thinking maybe they could take that money and Shohei Ohtani. Hello, right?
Hello.
Like, can we, right? Isn't that like maybe a little bit more likely now? I don't know.
I mean, I love where your head's at. I do. I love where your head's at. That's where I would love to see it. I really would. And I'm so interested to see what that's going to command. I mean, he's a top frontline pitcher. He's a middle of the order guy. He can run. He can play defense. Like, are you willing to stake $50 million of your payroll, $60 million of your payroll into one guy? If there's one guy you're going to pick, it'll be him.
Right.
Babe Ruth isn't available anymore. So, that's the guy you're taking. Yeah, I mean, I would love for them to have a real good run at Shohei, but I think there's, maybe not 29 other clubs, but at least 10 that are going to make a real strong push.
Farhan probably will get Babe Ruth because he's coming off an injury. So
nice.
That's something he looks for. But, yeah, Javy, love it, man. Always love when you're able to jump on. Thanks so much for doing it.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks,
all right.
Javy.
There it is. Javy Lopez, always good on all of this stuff.